Mayor of Sacramento. I am joined by my colleagues, council members Eric Guetta, Jay Chenier, and school board member Jesse Ryan. I thank you all for being here today, as well as some other special guests. Everyone is special here, but you'll hear from some of the leaders who helped make this happen. So let me start it out this way by saying what a difference a year makes. It's not that 2018 was a bad year by any means. It's just that the City of Sacramento and its community partners had many fewer opportunities to offer our young people, especially on Friday and Saturday nights. We've got our very good city rec programs, and of course our heroic nonprofit communities do their very best and do a great job picking up the slack. But the truth of the matter is, you could look at any Friday or Saturday night in Sacramento and see maybe 3, maybe 5 youth-related events around the community, and we've got a big city. And then came the trouble at Arden Fair in 2018, and that was a bit of a wake-up call to say, you know what, that isn't Sacramento. That isn't what we want to see, but we talk a lot about accountability for the young people, and that's appropriate. But there's also adult accountability. And adult accountability means stepping up as city leaders, as foundation leaders, as community leaders, as business leaders, and saying every young person in Sacramento deserves to have a safe and enriching place to be every night of the week, but especially Friday and Saturday nights. Thank you for the siren. Appreciate it. So we came together, the Sierra Health Foundation, led by Chet Hewitt and his fabulous partners, the City of Sacramento, and yes, more money for fire services too. We came together, the Sierra Health Foundation, the City of Sacramento, and our corporate partners, Comcast, who donated $300,000, and we created the Youth Pop-Up Movement, and I call it a movement here in Sacramento. And over the course of the last year, we have engaged thousands of 13 to 19-year-olds and their families to offer consistent, enriching, fun, educational activities on Friday and Saturday nights in Sacramento. There have been 303 events since February of 2019 with more than 29,000 attendees. 100 young people have received on-the-job training working at the pop-ups, and 50 have attended weekly sessions to train them in communication skills to get them ready for the workforce. This was such a success, and because of the passage of Measure U, thanks again to many of these coalition partners that are standing with us here today in November of 2018, that today the City Council is voting to invest another $1.3 million from the new Measure U to continue the pop-up program at least through June of 2020, and then working together, we will make this a permanent part of what the City of Sacramento does. That's a total investment of $2.5 million. The numbers don't tell the whole story, because it's the young people that have been affected in such positive ways. It's about the thing you can't prove, the trouble that didn't occur as a result of young people having a safe place to be. You don't want to say this too loud, I guess, because you don't want to ever jinx it, but there hasn't been a youth homicide in Sacramento for 2 years, and that is something to be proud of. And this year at Arden Fair, just to close the loop, it was a much different winter, to say what a difference a year makes. No significant fights in the mall following Christmas. Today we're joined by Arden Property Manager Todd Strain and Marketing Manager Nathan Spradlin. Thank you for coming today and for being witnesses and giving witness to the importance of this pop-up strategy to making Sacramento a safer and a better place. Let's continue this partnership. Today is a huge and a big step. Let me turn it over. We're going to hear from all my colleagues, of course, but I want to turn it over to Chet Hewitt, who is a great partner and a great friend. Thank you, Chet.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I will parrot some of what the mayor said today, and yes, what a difference a year makes. A year ago, I stood with the mayor and we talked about implementing a pop-up strategy, an idea that came out of community conversations, and many of the folks who gave rise to this idea are in this crowd standing with us today. I'm going to call out our good colleagues, Barry Axis, Mervyn Brookins, and Miss Jackie, and some of the folks who sat with us and said, we will not criminalize our young people. We were going to do something very, very different. And the pop-ups really are a manifestation of that difference. They say the death of any good idea is bad implementation, right? In this case, we had excellent implementation from a group of partners who were committed to seeing that idea, doing better by young people in the city of Sacramento, be fully realized. I want to thank and call out our community partners again. I want to thank some folks from the Arden Mall who've been a partner in this. I want to thank law enforcement who saw fit to rely on relationships that community organizations have with our young people as a way of getting them to think and behave more appropriately than trying to figure out how a trip to probation detention center would actually change that particular behavior. What the pop-up success shows is that offered an opportunity, a developmental opportunity to do well and right, most of our young people will actually choose what's best and what's right for them as well. They have helped design many of these particular events and have not just been recipients of service. They are the creators of a future that they prefer for themselves and for their communities. I want to repeat the numbers that the mayor shared because it's worth repeating, particularly as there's such a profound, I think, level of success embedded in them. 29,000 attendees to 450 pop-up events, where 80% of those young people come from the communities that we are most concerned about. That is, in and of itself, a great success. I want to end by congratulating the mayor and the city council members for something that I think is really, really important. And that is using the passage of Measure U to do the things that we said to communities we would do with those resources. If you remember that debate, and the folks who were naysayers who said the money would never be used for young people. It would never be used for those who are being left behind. That this notion of an inclusive economy was something that could not be realized. I'll end by saying they were wrong.
Thank you, Chet. Indispensable partnership here. Cal Skate was one of the early recipients of some of the resources through Measure U, and Pastor Simmons, who's been a huge leader in all of this, can briefly tell the story here about what the pop-ups have meant to South Sacramento.
Thank you, Mayor Steinberg and everyone else that's here. Again, my name is Les Simmons, Senior Pastor of South Sacramento Christian Center, as well as the Director and one of the founders of the Simmons Community Center that's now historically known, operates in the old Cal Skate facility. The pop-up events that were created that have now done around 450 events started last year, 2019, February, and have created this space for our community. I can actually look back and reflect on some words that were said last week and last year, and the question was asked, does my community see me? The pop-up events have created a space of belonging for our families, for our youth and children, for our neighborhoods, for our communities. These places of belonging are bringing resources and services for our families, youth, and children. They're bringing opportunities. They're bringing what we call community. There was a survey that went out that to all the individuals within the pop-up events, and 98% of the individuals said, we feel a sense of belonging, that the adults that are also at the pop-up events create this space of belonging. There's been over 23 organizations coming together to help drive these pop-up events from South Sacramento to Meadowview to Oak Park to Del Paso Heights, all over the city, that have come together and said, we not only will help facilitate this, but we will learn from each other in doing so, in creating best practices spaces. So the Simmons Center is learning from Voices of Youth and Barry Axius. Roberts Family Development Center is learning from Jackie Rose. There are learning spaces created for this as well. I like to also speak to the skill development out of the young folks that are driving, programming, and planning these pop-up events. Someone said to me, who do you thank? I definitely 100% thank the Mayor Steinberg and his leadership, and the City Council, and the Measure U Committee, and the Pop-Up Planning Event Committee as well. But I also thank the young folks in the community that are driving this forward and now saying our city sees us, our city has created a space of belonging, and our lives matter as well too. It's an exciting day to be able to look to the next year and say we have created some space for our community to come together and create a space of belonging. Thank you. Let's celebrate this day.
Thank you. Since not everyone will be speaking, I just want to give a big round of applause to all the community partners standing behind us who really are the ones that made this go. I mean, the money is necessary, but without the spirit, without the skill, and without the commitment to the young people, none of this would be happening. Thank you. Let me now turn it over to my friend and colleague, the Vice Mayor of the City of Sacramento, Eric Guetta.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Let's give a big round of applause to all the leadership of our youth here today, the leaders of Sacramento. It's exciting to see what a year has done for a citywide effort. Now, District 6 was the place of the first Friday night hotspot. And this was after we've had so many young people who were being affected on a Friday or Saturday night, that in District 6, the city took on the ability to have a safe place at one of our community centers, the Georgetown Community Center. But one location is not enough to affect the city. The fact that all our community partners came together, our mayor, our city councilman, and council members, and said, we need to make this change, and we need to learn from the ability to work with our youth. That is making a change. Sadly, I remember my first year on the city council, a 16-year-old teenager shot in front of his grandmother's house in District 6. A very sad day. And for today, with the combination of a majority of our efforts and including our evenings of the pop-ups with our community partners, it's time to celebrate that for 2 years we have not had a fatality for our teams, and that deserves a big round of applause celebration for all our community partners. 2 years we've been protecting our young people. We're going to continue this effort. Measure U was about investing in our communities. The Glen Elders, the Lemon Hills, the Meadowviews, Oak Park, all of our city, North Sac, South Natomas, Northridge, Northgate, all of those areas in our city. We need to continue to invest in them. We're doing it here by learning from our young people. We're doing it from a community-based effort, and it's exciting to be here with Sacramento. So go Sacramento!
Thank you, Eric.